munching a piece of a leaf. Not usually the way you do it, but you know, might as well. A little bit's good. The leaves have spikes underneath, so you want to be careful with those. The younger ones tend to be better. The young shoots, sometimes I eat those or make tea. Which is one of those wonderful things about this bush. We all know blackberries. You can eat blackberries. If you're on the West Coast, you eat them until you're sick in the summer. They're awesome and stain your hands purple and all kinds of antioxidants and iron and good stuff. In the berries, they're really red while they're forming. That's iron. A lot of water, a lot of wonderful stuff in that. Right now it's winter, so like who cares? Nothing going on, right? Pretty much everything is going on in this plant. Let's check them out a little. Got some nice fall colors. This one's not super spectacular. Some of them put on a really, really nice show, and they get that deeper purple when it's colder out. You see down here where they're growing, like they're generally always growing right by the water. It's hard to see, it's all covered in horsetails. A little bit on that side with the willows. So they're kind of still getting going here. They get huge when they get full. And these are newer. These are the Tibetan. They're from the Himalayas. The ones that are taking over the West Coast that are absolutely everywhere and huge. There's, I believe, 4 native species that are smaller and some without spikes. So that's pretty cool. These are huge. These are very spiky. Very spiky. It's gonna be in the rose family, right? 5-petaled white flower. That's what, in botany, all the families are determined by the flowers, and so it has the same petal pattern and structure as like an apple or a rose or whatever. Anyway, these are from Tibet, and they are rapidly taking over the West Coast. They get huge. They love it here. And so we got piles of them, and they're really obnoxious. They grow like weeds. They love to be by the water, and they get all up in fields, and it's kind of the bane of a lot of Oregonians and West Coast people. It's a lot of work to pull out. My favorite way is to take long handle clippers and get it at the base, and there's not so much going on in there. You get a rake, push it back, clip at the base, push it back. You can roll this up into a big tube and haul it out, and kind of hooks on itself. It's pretty nice. So that's cool. A lot of people get the goats to eat them. The goats will eat them. If there's other stuff, they're not as into it. You know, who wants to eat blackberries? The bushes, it's spiky. Although I've eaten them. I ate one first in Santa Cruz because I was eating blackberries my first time wildcrafting. I kept getting poked. I didn't own shoes, being a sadhu. And I ate a little spike. And I noticed after that, I didn't really get stabbed so much. Something about you put it in you and you're it and it's you. And I don't know, I was real big into that at that point. But not really generally the part you want to eat. These little spikes. They're like shark's teeth. But you can if you're adventurous. The rest of the blackberry, though, pretty much an edible plant. You can eat the roots, although you don't really want to unless you got the diarrhea, you got the runs, and you need some extra fiber. Chew on a blackberry root. That'll do it. You can also use those roots. They'll form those gnarly root balls under there, and use those to carve stuff out of, spoons and bowls and whatever. And the leaves generally are used as tea. They're really high mineral tea, so you can save those, use those in the wintertime. And especially if you're clearing them out, you're trying to cut them out, and that's a really obnoxious chore that you're dealing with, then, if you cut them, you get the new shoots, the new leaves and the new shoots and stuff in the spring, I think are better. Maybe not. I feel like they got more chlorophyll when they're older. Either way, whatever works for you. I feel like you could do it like white, green, black. You could do it like a tea plant, sort of, with the buds and the little flower buds and the little leaves coming down. I don't know, play around. It's a good tea to have. It's grown abundantly, and you can have good minerals, alkalizing minerals through the winter. So that's pretty cool. Also, those shoots, especially if you're out there trying to kill them out and they're sending up those new shoots over and over in the spring and summer, those you can take and you can skin them and you eat it, and it's kind of like a celery. It's a lot softer, a bit sweeter, a lot of water, less fibrous. Again, that's when it's early, when it's those fat green shoots that it's sending out. And also it's really helpful if you're wandering around in the springtime, you don't have, or the summer, you don't have good water, and you come across contaminated water, the blackberry's going to filter that. Pretty cool. So when you're getting the water out of the shoots, that's going to be clean. It's going to give you better hydration than having no water at all. So that's pretty awesome. A few uses for this plant. Plus that, again, if you're trying to clear these things out, you got them in a spot you don't want them, and they will come back year after year, and you got to keep cutting them. If you do it right and totally, skin those shoots and eat them, pick those leaves, save them for tea, you're turning that chore into like a valuable thing. Then you got food, then you got tea, then you're getting nourished, getting energy instead of it just being a chore. I find for me that makes it a lot easier instead of just, pulling a weed. That's just a chore. Who wants to do it? You're harvesting some food and tea. Oh, that's a little easier than, And it's kind of up to you whether you treat this as a food or a weed. You can train the blackberries. You take the shoots and you get a forked stick to kind of scoop them up and set them up on themselves. You can make some nice little areas, keep them a little better contained, and they're great food. We all knew the berries. You can dry the berries. Some of them dry on the plant, and a guy in Shasta was showing me you can just eat some of those. Some of them get moldy. You got to watch out for that. But I guess also you could dry them. They're going to lose most of their size and be these little tiny little nuggets that you could throw in cereal or something, trail mix. But the rest of the plant, totally usable. What's the difference between a weed and a medicinal edible plant? Sometimes it's just our choice that we just decide this one's taken over. If it's taken over, you call it a weed, you pull it out. Sometimes you got your life full of weeds, and the difference between that and edible medicine is a little bit of knowledge. Now we know. All right, we can use the blackberries, every part of it. Cool. Rockin', awesome. Thanks for being here all the way from Tibet. Yeah. Sherpa fan. That'll about do it. Thank you. Blackberry.